Yum Yum. Now, as a child, my mom used to make a blueberry Yum Yum, and I'm assuming it was really good because everyone ate it. I personally don't like blueberries, so mom would always leave a little section without the blueberries in it for me. But it basically was pretty plain. Tasted good, but so today I'm going to show you how to use cherries instead of blueberries. If you like blueberries, go ahead and use blueberries. So we're going to make, first I'm going to show you how to make the topping, just a little sprinkle, if you will, just to kind of make it look pretty. So, all right, let's get started. So in my saucepan, I've got 1/4 cup of brown sugar, and it is not packed. So for this, you don't want to pack it. So just spoon it in there lightly, and then dump it in. You could use regular sugar as well. I'm just going to use brown sugar because I want a little more depth of flavor. So, and then to this, we're going to add 1 tablespoon of water, and I know it's a tiny bit. We're going to turn the heat on. And let's get a spatula here. We're basically just going to candy some almonds, but since this is just to kind of put on top of our dessert, we don't need a lot. So we're just going to make a tiny bit. So now that our brown sugar is melted in with our water, I'm going to add 1/4 teaspoon of cinnamon. And we're just going to stir that in. And then I have 1/4 cup of sliced and toasted almonds, so we're just going to dump that in there. And we're just going to kind of let this go until the liquid has kind of evaporated. So there's not much there, so it shouldn't take very long, really. And I have my heat on just a little past medium, so about medium, between medium and low. We're not looking to cook these, we're not looking to boil anything. It's going to simmer a little bit as that water works out. I'm just going to kind of keep stirring them a little bit. Keep stirring it. I do have a little sheet tray with some parchment paper on it already. It smells really good. Put off the heat here just a little bit because I don't want it to burn. All right. We are pretty much there. You can just see that it's still bubbling a little bit, but it's almost completely done. Okay, so we're just going to turn the heat off, and then I'm going to take this and I'm just going to dump it onto my sheet tray with the parchment paper. And then we're just going to kind of spread it out a little bit here, just so it can kind of cool. I'm not going to use my finger because hot sugar. Okay, there we go. And we're just going to set this aside and then we're going to get started on our filling. All right, so we're going to make our graham cracker crust. I've got an 8x8 square baking pan here that I've lined with parchment paper. And I like to buy the sheets of parchment paper. I just get it off of Amazon, but then I just cut it in half and then put a piece this way, and that will make it much easier to get out of the pan. So I'm just going to set that there. In my bowl, I've got 6 tablespoons of salted butter. You can use unsalted as well, just whichever you prefer or whatever you have on hand. And I'm going to add 1.5 cups of graham cracker crumbs. You can smash your own graham crackers if you want, or make it easy on yourself and just get a box of graham cracker crumbs. So that's what I did. And then I'm also going to add 1 tablespoon of sugar to that. So we're just going to mix this in. Just mix it really well. You want it mixed in so that it will kind of hold itself together when you press it into the pan. So like this, see, it looks very crumbly, but if you smash it, it's going to kind of hold itself a little bit. So just keep working it. Okay. And I'm just going to dump this into our pan. There we go. And then I'm just going to use my cup here to kind of help press it in there. So we're not really looking to build it up on the sides, so you can just make a nice even layer here. Just kind of even it out. Okay, and now we're just going to press it. And you want to give it a really good solid press just so that it kind of holds itself together. Now at this point, if you were to just put your filling in on top of this and then try to cut it, it's just going to fall apart. So what you want to do now that you've pressed it in there really good is I'm going to put this in the refrigerator. So as it sits in the fridge, then it will help to solidify that butter again more to a solid, and that will kind of hold it all together. Okay, so I've got another bowl here, and I've got 1 can of cherry pie filling. So this is a 21-ounce can, and I'm going to dump this into my bowl and just scrape it all out. This is a really easy dessert to make, quick and easy, great for summertime, you know, a quick dessert if you're going somewhere and you need to take something. This will work great. All right. And then we are going to add 2 teaspoons of almond extract to this. 2 teaspoons might seem a little excessive, but you've got to remember this is a pretty strong cherry flavor. You can see it in here. So I'm just going to mix this up. So we're just going to set that aside. And then in this bowl, I've got 1 8-ounce package of cream cheese. That's at room temperature. I just set it out overnight since it's kind of cool in my kitchen right now. I just set it out, and that way it's exactly the right consistency, because it's really hard to work with cream cheese if it's not the right consistency. So there we go. And then I've got a 1/2 cup of just regular granulated sugar that's going to go in there, and we are just going to mix it together. Alright, that's nice and mixed together. So it's just kind of a creamy consistency. So, alright, so when I come back, I'm going to show you how to assemble this. I'm just going to leave that crust in the fridge for probably about a 1/2 hour, just so it can kind of firm up a bit. So when we come back, I'll assemble it. So our crust has firmed up a bit. It's not completely solid, but that's okay because we're going to chill this for a little while. But you can see I can lift it out and it's kind of holding its shape. So we're going to leave that in there. And now we're going to take our filling and we're just going to plop that right in there. Now you could make this a larger amount by using like a 9 by 13 size pan. Just double your filling. Everything will just be doubled. So my mom always used to make the large size pan. So, and then I'm just going to use an offset spatula to just kind of help push this into the corners and try to get it even in here. You'll still have a little bit of pull on those crumbs, but that's okay. So just try to get it as even as you can. And you can tell since the crumbs have been in the fridge, it's already kind of setting the cream cheese filling a little bit, starting to firm up pretty quick. So, all right. So that's nice and even. Then we're just going to take our cherries and we're just going to dump those right on top. Just spread them out. All right. And then we're just going to use some frozen whipped topping. Just set it out so it's thawed a couple of hours in the fridge and it will be just fine. You can set it out the night before you wanted to. Just be careful if you sit it out like on your counter to thaw out. If it's too warm in your house, then it kind of starts to deflate a little bit. So if you know you're going to make this the day before, just sit it into your refrigerator and it'll be fine. So we're just going to add this to the top. And you could totally just make your own whipped topping if you wanted to, but trying to make this as simple as possible. And my mom always used just frozen whipped topping, so. And we're just gonna use the entire container. It's like 8 ounces. I think it's an 8-ounce container if I can find the, yes, 8 ounces. Now, like I said, you could make this using the blueberries. I would add some fresh lemon zest to the blueberries just to kind of, and a fair amount, probably a tablespoon or so, just to kind of help add a little bit of a zing to it. So we're just gonna kind of just try to make some little peaks here. I'm not very good at making peaks, so there we go. And then we're just gonna set this in the fridge so that it can firm up, probably for an hour or better. And then when we come back, I'll put the candied almonds on top. I don't want to put those on top now because when they go into the fridge, they could soften up and not be as crunchy. So, all right. So here's our cherry almond yum yum. I've pulled it out of the fridge. You might need an extra pair of hands just to get it out of the pan, but it did lift out really nicely. So these are our candied almonds that we made. So we're just going to kind of sprinkle those across the top, kind of break them up a little bit because some of them are still kind of bigger chunks stuck together. So we're just going to sprinkle them across. Just however many you want. There we go. And then you can eat the extras later. All right, so very carefully, we're just going to cut into this. See if we can get this on the plate. There we go. So that is our cherry almond, almond yum yum. This is a great no-bake dessert. Goes together really quick. Wonderful to have during the summertime when you don't want to be turning the oven on and warming up your house. So I hope you enjoy.